Burning Rangers is a 3D action platformer where you play as a futuristic firefighter. This may not sound very interesting, but apparently, in the future, firefighters are equipped with lasers and jetpacks, making it probably the most awesome job ever. In Burning Rangers, your task is to put out fires, rescue everyone trapped, and make it to the end of the level. To do this, you have the highly mobile jetpack, which allows you to reach high places or make difficult jumps, and a laser which can put out fires. You can pick between two characters, but the only difference between them are their lines and voice actors. But seriously, I love using the jetpack. It's just so fun boosting in every direction as you make your way through the levels. Now granted, it takes a bit of practice to get used to it, but after a while you become a pro at it. I'm also pretty sure that the jetpack in Burning Rangers was the main inspiration behind Gun Valkyrie for the original Xbox, especially considering Gun Valkyrie was created by ex-Sega devs and that it originally began as a Dreamcast game. But that's enough tangents for one episode. There are several types of fires. Yellow ones can be taken out easily, blue ones can only be taken out by charging your shot, and green ones will shoot projectiles at you. They're not sentient or anything, but the projectiles are always aimed at you, so yeah, that's kinda weird. Shooting your laser at fires will put them out and leave crystals behind. Crystals have the same use as rings do in Sonic the Hedgehog. They are your health, and if you get hit, you lose all your crystals, which must then be collected before they disappear. Can you tell this game was developed by the Sonic team? Crystals are also used to save people. So if you find someone asking for help, you can't teleport them to safety unless you have enough crystals. Fires aren't your only enemies though. In later levels, you start facing off against robots and other similar enemies. These are often best taken out by charging your shot Mega Man style. And because all of your shots automatically home in on your enemies, most of the time you only have to worry about dodging while your laser shots do the rest of the work. One aspect that Burning Rangers gets a lot of praise for are the graphics. The Saturn wasn't known for its 3D graphics, but Burning Rangers really shows what the system can do in the hands of talented developers. Not only is the game in full 3D, it features some pretty large open areas, dynamic lighting, true transparencies, and even water effects. Unfortunately, all of this comes at a cost. The frame rate, for example, is pretty inconsistent, going anywhere between 30 and what often feels like 12 frames per second. The resolution is also a bit on the low side. Worse still, there are several graphical glitches which often pop up, including walls disappearing, clipping, and a weird effect around your character whenever you're standing next to an item with true transparency. And on later levels it gets even worse, like when the Saturn tries to use transparency and water effects all at the same time. I mean, just look at this mess. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Worse still, the controls are really iffy. Making precise jumps is really difficult, and so is making tight turns. The fires you're supposed to put out are all 2D sprites, so the issue here is that it makes it very hard to tell their distance from you, especially when they start shooting flames in your direction. This is probably why your laser shots always home in on the enemy, as this, coupled with awkward handling, would have made combat in Burning Rangers an absolute nightmare. But even this solution isn't perfect, as combat is either too easy or too difficult, because your laser doesn't always home in properly. This extends to the bosses as well. Some bosses are incredibly easy and can be taken out in mere seconds, but then you have the level 2 boss who requires precision platforming and is easily the hardest enemy in the entire game. Now, Burning Rangers is a game that uses a lot of audio cues to clue you in on where you need to go or what dangers are about to pop up. You have a navigator telling you where to go and what to do, and if you get lost, you can contact her at any time and she'll usually give you basic directions on where to go. This is a pretty great idea and generally works really well. You also have to listen for certain sounds indicating an explosion is about to take place. When that happens, you're supposed to hit down on the D-pad and your character automatically jumps to safety. But once again, the iffy control stepped in, as roughly 1 out of every 5 times I did this, my character wouldn't jump to safety, and instead I got hit, so my advice is to manually jump away. There's also a level in the space station where sometimes part of the station blows up and you're supposed to jump to safety, but this happens so abruptly and without any warning that I fell for it almost every time. When navigating through the levels, you have to pay close attention to this graph. This indicates the level of danger in an area, and it's always counting up, and every 20% mark it spawns a series of explosions that you need to dodge. You can push the number down by putting out fires, but even if you put out every fire in a stage, the number will still count up, and when it reaches 100%, it will keep spawning explosions on top of you until you die or you decrease the bar below that number. So in essence, this is more like a time limit, and I hate time limits. I don't know about you, but I like to take my time and explore a game at my own pace, especially here because venturing off the main path will often bring you to rooms with crystals or people to save. But it always feels like I'm being rushed. And yeah, I get it, you're a firefighter. You have to be quick, and this forces you to find an optimal route to meet your objectives, but I still wish this didn't have a time limit. In between missions you have anime cutscenes, though I have to admit they're not very well animated. Most of the time it's just a still shot of a character with their mouths moving or just some very minimal animation. But hey, at least the intro has a theme song. It's so cheesy, I love it. But then there's no in-game music. Why? You give us this amazing intro song, but there's no music during each mission. Instead, you get a lot of radio chatter between your teammates, which is fine. It does a good world-building job. Unfortunately, voice acting during story segments is bad. Like, really bad. Tillis's voice is just so freaking annoying, and the story isn't much better either.
Chris, the dolphin was saying something about a monster. This may be the key to saving everyone. I'm gonna find out what he's talking about.
Monster? Tillis, what are you talking about?
Wait, did you just gloss over the fact she said she spoke to a dolphin?
Boy, what are you doing here?
Tillis, what is he saying?
He says there is a monster below. He says it's been the cause of this mess.
She speaks dolphin. Yeah, the story is pretty bad. To make things worse, the game is really short. There's only 4 missions to take, and I beat the game in roughly 6 hours. Yeah, sure, I didn't save everyone for each mission, and after you beat the game, you can replay missions and there will be new victims in different spots. But this just barely counts as replay value. Not to mention, 2/3 of the way through, the game completely dishes the firefighting mechanics. Suddenly, there's no one to save, and there's no time limit danger graph. Now, it's all about saving the world from aliens or whatever. It's like I stepped into a different game altogether. In fact, considering how short Burning Rangers is, and how rough the game is in some areas, it almost feels more like a proof of concept rather than a full game. It's as if Sega is trying to prove the Saturn can handle a 3D action game with all the bells and whistles of a PlayStation or Nintendo 64. And I'd say they succeeded in that. Sure, the controls leave a bit to be desired, and the graphics can get a bit messy at times, but the visuals are really impressive for an early 1998 game. But still, the game comes off as a bit rushed and incomplete. But hey, I just love the jetpack. The 3D platforming is just so much fun in this game. Now, this is a Saturn exclusive, so I don't need to tell you this is gonna be really expensive. And it all depends on how committed you are to creating a collection for the system. So, overall, is Burning Rangers good? I definitely enjoyed it. The graphics are good for the time, I like the visual style, and it's just a really impressive game for the system. But it's also short, and it feels like halfway through it doesn't know what it's trying to be. If this game seems interesting to you, go ahead and pick it up. Just be prepared to pay upwards of 3 digits regardless of which region you live in. Hey everyone, thank you for watching St1ka's Retro Corner. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for a new video every Thursday. Anyway, I hope you have a great day.